And with that boop, we are now recording. Now waiting for a custom version of OBS to be created where the start recording button is just like a cat nose. So you boop the nose to start recording. I would love that. That would be adorable. Anyway, hello. Welcome to Pack Tactics Season 4. This is a homebrew Dungeons & Dragons campaign where all the players are kobolds. Yes, even that one. Don't ask questions. I'm joined tonight by a bunch of awesome people, including Beth, Ellie, Io, Jen. My name is Crash. I'll be your DM for the evening. What happened last time?
We saved the mimic.
Mimics. Lots of mimics.
I mean, they kind of saved themselves too, but you know.
Yes, you assisted. You are now a part of the tribe.
Yes.
To quote the best of the Star Wars movies.
Which one is that? I forget. Oh.
Return of the Jedi.
Right.
You can make many arguments for why other movies were better, and those can be valid opinions. However, Return of the Jedi is my favorite of them, and that is very subjective.
That's fair.
Anyway.
That's fair.
My favorite one was Rogue One. That was so cool.
That one is pretty good too, and I quote that one more than anything else. I'm on the Force is with me, of course. With that said, yes, you touched down, splashed down, whatever, just outside the village of Farmton. It was under attack eventually, but first you had a hard time figuring out what was going on with all of the villagers and why they were acting like NPCs in a video game. It was because they didn't know how to human. They learned it from watching humans. But humans always got creeped out and left early, so they didn't have a lot of time to observe the humans.
And when they did, they were slightly creeped out humans who were being very stiff and well.
Yes. Well, in any case, the village got under attack from a bunch of cold-based things. I wonder what riled all those creatures up. We'll probably never know.
Yeah.
And well, at least the mimics will probably never know.
We certainly hope.
There was a climatic battle. Well, a lot of battling was happening around you. Right out there on the dock, Longkep breathed fire for 18 seconds straight.
It was awesome.
Monty on another planet is just like, I could breathe fire for 18 seconds straight. I just don't want to.
He's standing in the sulking corner.
No, the sulking corner blew up, remember?
Oddly enough, it's gone.
Yes, oddly enough, Monty is not responsible for the vast amount of explosive damage done to the sulking corner.
Yeah.
But, yes, and there was the insistence that someone could definitely take a fireball. They were not required to take a fireball. They were not asked to take a fireball. They requested the fireball. They did not receive the fireball.
They were not given the fireball. No.
For some reason, the decision was made to give the fire to the frost salamander instead. It was melted. A good time was had by all. Many mimics were healed to bring us this information.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It was diplomatic.
It was very diplomatic.
Conducted diplomacy.
You conducted diplomacy. It was not aggressive negotiation. One or more of you may have learned that mimics know how to hug.
Aww.
I now have this mental image of, like, Utashi, of course, hugging as many mimics as possible.
And one for you, and one for you.
Yes, other kobolds may or may not be hugging mimics. Mari might have lightly pat some of them on what was assumed to be the head, and then gotten hugged. And I have this image of, like, Longkep getting approached by a smaller mimic, and it just sort of wraps around Longkep's leg or tail to hug.
Aww.
Oh, hello.
Then it reaches up a pseudopod and pats Longkep on the head, because apparently Longkep is having some trouble understanding that hugs are reciprocated, but it's okay. Not everyone has a good day. And then it goes off. Smallest cat may or may not be riding a mimic.
I mean, healing is important too. And also not pitching a fit when you discover that there are mimics.
I
mean,
that's an excellent
we were
question,
kind of
Ellie.
pitching a minor fit.
Ellie asked the question, mimics may know how to hug, but do they know how humanoids usually hug? No. No, they don't. Mimics just do the whole wrap around and not bite. Hug means not biting, but almost biting. That's what mimics understand. It's like, I could destroy you, but I will not. In that case, mimics are very much like cats. Except cats will destroy you anyway.
Valid.
Yes. Well,
Percy hugs me with his teeth.
yes, so does Socket. And his claws.
Aww.
With that said, it takes about a day to gather the lumber necessary. While they do have a Cartwright, who you met, they oddly don't need a lot of wood. They don't build tons of carts. They don't repair tons of carts. It happens now and then. And all their buildings are them. If someone needs
the
a rake,
grandparents.
if someone needs a rake, someone gets drafted into the role of rake.
It's your turn to be the rake. No, it's
Mom said it's my turn to be the
rake.
shovel. Who wants to be the water bucket? Ooh, ooh! You just hear a mimic going, whee! Splash. Down the well. You didn't wait for Billy to be the rope. Okay. In any case, all that delightful imagery aside, which may or may not be canon, who am I kidding? Of course it's canon.
It's got to be canon. It's too adorable.
It takes about a day to get the lumber necessary, with people taking turns being the saws, and another day to finish fixing the ship. Now, the first day they were applying lumber to the ship, but it took a second day to finish that off. So it is evening of the second day. For some reason, kobolds enjoy evenings better than mornings.
Yeah, weird.
Yeah, very strange. And the Shrike ship, it has been rebuilt to factory specifications, unless there's additions. Were there any planned additions?
We should probably make sure that there's a hatch in the back so that we can drop things out of it, like, well, possibly bombs or chamber pots or whatever.
An odd kobold in a brown robe with glowing yellow eyes gives you a thumbs up and heads to the back.
Concerning.
Utini! You hear a...
With yellow eyes.
You hear a...
Perhaps
And you
they
now
are
have a hatch.
Kobold ASMR.
Kobold ASMR.
Beth, I'm reluctant to say this.
Sorry.
Given the context, I'm reluctant to say this. But have you really just given our ship that's shaped like a bird a cloaca?
Wow.
The comment was made 2 weeks ago as well, I believe. Yes.
Mhm.
And we all sort of just glossed over it. After 30 seconds, I was thinking, she didn't really say that, did she? And then I went and edited the
You said it.
recording, and I'm pretty sure Beth is the one who mentioned it 2 weeks ago. Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Sorry knows what she's
Okay.
suggesting.
All
The
right.
problem is that is, unfortunately, the logical place where you would want to be able to dump stuff out if you A, want to get rid of it and not have it spattering on your ship, or B, want to toss something out that, might land on something that's below you. It's a very logical place.
Except the Shrike ship will tell you that
Mhm.
to have it centered, like you request, requires boring a hole through structural supports that hold the wing, the tail on.
Well, no, we
So-
obviously can't have that. It doesn't need to be centered.
Okay, well, if it's
Honestly,
not
if
centered,
we-
it will wreck aerodynamics. So you will need one on either side. And when you do that, it's not a cloaca, it's portholes.
That works for Sorry.
Okay. Also, it avoids the
That makes
imagery.
Bapaki feel more comfortable too.
That ruins the imagery, for which I'm quite happy. That ruins it. It ruins the imagery of the Shrike ship flying around and pooping on things to blow them up.
Okay, but multi-track pooping.
No.
Bapaki is considering asking for can the mangonels point directly upward?
If you are strong enough, you can pull the pin that holds them to their mounting bracket and then point them straight up.
I don't
But
think
if-
any of us are strong enough, except Righty.
If they're mounted, can they point straight up?
No. It is
Okay.
a structural concern as well. Yes, you could rig the mounting structure so that it would be able to point straight up, but these are not designed like that. The idea
Oh
is
no,
that you... Sorry?
Bapaki was thinking about asking for a flying bridge across the center of the top deck.
Ah.
But she didn't want to do that if the mangonels could point straight up.
Well, right now, that center mangonel can shoot directly into the front and rear cabins. So...
Yeah, that's true.
Yes, you can add a flying bridge. Now, the additional weight will affect maneuverability and top speed. But both of those I've been wibbly wobbly on actually saying what those are.
Mhm.
So it's not like it's a set cost.
Well, Bapaki's mainly doing it for the cool factor.
Okay. So the flying ship will have a
So-
flying bridge.
Fastened in such a way that if we absolutely hate it, we can jettison it for losing the weight.
Well, possibly. Or you could disengage that section and then have two ships. You would have the section that has the crew in the habitable area, and then you'd have a sleeker craft that's more maneuverable for battle. Oh, wait, that's the Enterprise. Never mind.
You'd think we'd
Think
need
we
a
have an-
spare helm, or helmoid, or helmai.
You would need another crystal because this vessel does not have a helm. It has a crystal.
Right.
It is essentially a ship-shaped cobot.
Cool.
Bapaki wouldn't know this, but didn't we find a bunch of crystals
You did.
down
I
in the
think we
depths
sent
of the...
them with PT. Did we keep them, or did we send them with PT, or does
The DM doesn't remember.
Dizza?
One of them was PT.
Right.
It's possible Deza has the others.
I think Deza certainly had charge of them, and if PT
don't-
didn't want them, Deza probably
Yeah, I think
has them.
if PT didn't ask for them, then Deza will have kept them for use to make cobots.
I'm honestly not entirely sure PT knows about them. PT was unaware while the
Okay.
crystal that makes PT was in storage. And I don't remember if the kobolds told PT, yeah, we found yours in a bunch of other, in a box with other crystals.
Fair enough.
Okay. All right. And crystals are not a rare thing for cobots. Most of the ones that, if not all of the ones that can gain sapience, have a crystalline processing core. So, with that said, you've never had a house wave goodbye to you before. But
Wave, wave, wave.
as the Shrike ship takes off and flies into the sunset, which unfortunately is going to make the sunset take a bit longer to happen, you start heading back towards the wastes where you met Bapaki. It is not going to be as fast a journey as when you took the rail car, but the station that you arrived at is currently down for repairs.
Yeah.
It's really too bad we don't have any cartographers in the party so we can keep track of where the Mimic Town is. Says the person who has the cartographer that they left on the other side of the planet, and by that I don't mean the surface.
Mm-hmm.
The inside of the planet.
Yes.
Not only the cartographer, but the cartographer with the absolute sense of space and direction.
Processing.
Yep.
Would you like to save this location to your favorites?
Yes, please. If that's canon, yes, please.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the other thing. We're going to have to reattune the thing at some point so that it's attuned to Bupaki, because Sori has absolutely no idea.
You've been there 2 days. It was never actually attuned to Sori.
Oh, good.
You started the process,
Hey,
but
Bupaki,
it did not
do you want a
complete.
ship? Bupaki, do you want a ship? It attunes.
Don't I need to, have spell slots?
I have no idea. Ask it.
Don't I need to have spell slots?
Processing. The power for this vessel comes from this crystal. What does a ship need with spell slots?
Oh, okay. All right,
And
then
what-
Bupaki will attune to it.
And what does a god need with a spaceship?
Indeed. Fortunately, none of us are gods. Right? Morin?
Yeah.
Just checking. No, that's long Kep.
Smallest Kep has little angelic halo above its skeletal head.
Power.
Power corrupts, and the power of a morbid adorableness corrupts absolutely.
Aww.
Last session, we had Smallest Kep reading the Necronomicon. Okay, there are very large air quotes around the word reading.
Looking at the pictures.
Who was it? It was Secretary of the Navy.
Dang it, Sora, you already have inspiration.
John Lehman was Ronald Reagan's Secretary of the Navy between 1981 and 1987. And the reason I bring him up is because he's quoted as saying, "Power corrupts. Absolute power is kind of neat."
All right. The Shrike ship suggests flying just above the cloud layer in order to not be noticed by people on the surface. You could fly in the clouds to make sure you're also not noticed from anyone above you, but that would also make, in addition to the temperature around you being very cold, it would make everything very cold and wet.
And also, do we actually... can we fly by instruments,
The Shrike ship is its own instrument collection.
So it could fly in a cloud and not get...
It effectively has
Saxophone,
blind sight
trumpet,
for...
oboe.
It likes percussion. And by that
This
I mean
doesn't
it
like
does have a
trombone.
battering ram on the front of it. It
I
takes
did
damage.
not realize that would.
Hmm?
I did not mean to do that. I did not mean to do that. I'm not shooting a crossbow at anything. I was just messing around in my inventory
Oh,
and trying to figure out if I could get it to display my modifiers for the weapon. Hey, my crossbow attack roll.
I was trying to get that
Sure,
roll
you
to
should be
come
using
from
a
smallest
crossbow.
cap, but it didn't work.
Oh.
If
Nope, just
it
keep
can
saying long
see... Drat. If it can see in the clouds, I suggest that we might want to skim fairly close to the clouds in case we have to go in there to keep other things from seeing us. I'm sorry, I just had the mental image of the ship just sort of skimming along with the landing gear feet trailing through the clouds and, spitting up little wakes of it in, classic anime style.
Oh, I'll go one better.
As we
The clouds look like an ocean. You are
Of
sailing
course.
through the clouds as if they were the water. I mean,
Well,
technically they are.
Spins out beside us. Well, yeah. I'm sorry, I just needed to give that anime thing, with the sun, glittering off of the clouds and all of the proper colors. And I wish I could draw well enough to do that, because that'd be kind of cool. Anyway, sorry.
And if the kobolds stay below decks, they can stay relatively warm and not have to worry about the sunlight.
Sori likes relatively warm.
While you are doing
That's
that,
what we needed in this.
Maury is spending time above deck on the part of the top deck that's furthest forward, just watching the sunset and the clouds and everything. It's very peaceful if you don't think about how high you're up and how fast you're going and how many dragon gods want to kill you.
And how many weirdo kobolds are stuffed below decks.
And how one of them keeps bringing things back to life. And by back to life, I mean their skeletons are walking around. I am assuming that Lefty was put back together during those 2 days.
Longcap did not restrict themselves to just one.
They're like potato chips.
I don't think Longcap eats them.
I do not eat them.
But can you have just one?
I am capable of it, yes, but it seems wasteful.
I'm going to use that line the next time I eat a second potato chip. All right. So this goes on for a little while. And then you hear Maury's voice coming from above deck saying, guys?
Sori runs out immediately.
Bapaki's already up on deck.
Maury is pointing ahead of the ship and saying, is that normal? And what you see is clouds. Most of the clouds look normal, except over there in front of you, where the clouds appear to be rising up and curling around, almost like it's a wave coming towards you. And, oh, yes, it is. It's moving towards you closer than you are moving towards it.
I think we should
Here
go.
it's being pursued still.
Except it's in front of us, isn't it?
Yes.
Hard bank to starboard.
Hang on to the railings. We have railings, right?
Yes. Railings,
Good.
and there are safety harnesses. It's the harnesses each have 2 carabiners on them, and you're always supposed to have at least one hooked onto a railing, but there's 2
Yep.
because not all the railings need to be attached somewhere, and otherwise you wouldn't be able to go around the whole ship. So if you're above deck, you should always have 1,
Yeah.
if not 2. All right.
I mean, you click one onto one section, you click it on the next, and you take it off, and you basically go hand over hand with your. Yeah.
Exactly. And you can go a long
least if it's
stretch
rough
without
seats.
having to swap them out. But once you get to a support structure on the railing, you do have to do the little swap over. All right.
Yeah.
So you do a hard bank to starboard. I
Ding.
don't know which direction that is, but that's the direction you start leaning in, and the ship.
Right.
The right. North on the map.
I know you're correct. And we're moving, and the ship turns sideways because it banks so hard, and yet you're all on your feet because the centripetal force is still pushing you towards the deck like it's ground, which is not disconcerting at all for Maury. No, not at all. We won't talk about this further. And that's when the wave hits you.
I missed part of that. Can you repeat?
That is when the wave hits you.
That's when.
Okay.
Yes.
I hope Lefty and Righty have proper. Oh.
What happened here?
It says Dreamscape,
Mhm.
and there's only one of me in this Dreamscape.
I cannot say the same.
Yep.
Pretty colors.
Longcap and Maury
Colors.
are together in what appears to be a swamp.
I believe I know what's going on.
Utashi appears to be in a forest with
Mhm.
glowing pretty lights drifting between the trees.
Uh-huh.
Bapaki is on a beach with an ocean stretching back past the horizon. This is not an ocean that exists on this Forge world. There's no body of water that large. But Bapaki has seen oceans like this before. And the sky, even though it is daytime in Bapaki's corner of this, is black as night and filled with a galaxy's worth of stars. Sori is in a cave.
Has
Is
lava.
on a plain or a mountain.
You're on a beach.
I was saying Surrey is on a plains, or a mountain. In a cave, probably a mountain.
I think it's a volcano because there's lava.
Yes, there is lava. It is not uncomfortably hot. It is comfortably warm. It is just the right temperature, it feels. The lava under your
There's
feet is
lava on
cooled
my
enough to
toes.
be solid and not burning you. Now, granted, you have heat resistance, so that might play a part in it. But also,
Hmm.
it's solid enough that you're not sinking into it. There are parts you can see that are quite liquid, but they are obviously quite liquid, and you don't have to step there.
Hmm.
Now, this is not
Sorry,
for
will not step
combat.
in the lava.
This is just for housekeeping order of operations. Could everyone roll initiative, please?
Clever. Initiative is on the front page. If you do attributes, you can just click the initiative and do roll number.
Let me find it.
Upper right corner of your character
Oh.
sheet.
Okay, normal, right?
Yep.
Out of 5. Nope, I got
All
an
right.
8.
Well, as I've said, this is not for combat purposes. This is just to make sure I have an order of how I am addressing things without accidentally skipping someone.
Because you have split the party.
I have
The
split the
GM
party and
Split the party.
With the
Mhm.
party.
And yes, Ellie, I
GM
did
did
get
this.
the Magic the Gathering joke. But it's also been a very long time since I played Magic the Gathering, so I didn't want to yes and for the joke because I was afraid I was going to get it very, very wrong.
I still have a deck from the 90s. I think it was green and white.
My favorite deck was the deck that made people very upset with me. It was a white and artifact deck. I called it the Rolo deck.
Oh, wow.
It was 3 times the size of anything that's tournament legal, and its whole point was to run the other person out of cards while you never ran out of cards yourself. Because your graveyard would just keep going
Mine's
back into your
like-
deck. Hmm?
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yes.
That's
The other
cool.
person wouldn't die
The
from
one
damage.
I have was like.
The one you
So
had
it's
was
just attrition, right?
Yes, which is why they hated it. I liked long games.
Ah, cool.
If we ran out of table
Yeah, I
space
think
playing the
one
game,
I had was like, wow.
the one you had was like,
Was like early on, like early.
oh
So I
yeah,
don't know. It probably doesn't have a lot of things.
I would say 99.9 repeating % of the games I have played for Magic the Gathering were all played in the 90s. I can count on one hand the number of games I've played since 2000.
I haven't played in.
All right, so Bapaki, we're going to start with you because you got initiative 12. I love that 12 is the highest roll.
Mm-hmm.
Let me check my notes
Okay.
real quick. So, you appear to be alone on this beat. And by appear, I mean you definitely know you're not. You definitely feel like there is a presence that is here, that is watching you, that is not in front of you as a courtesy, because the force of their presence is palpable even right now without them being visible, and could possibly be completely overwhelming if they did fully manifest.
Well, it finally happened. All right, well, if this is Kobold Heaven, there's got to be a ship around here somewhere. I'll start walking.
There is a ship. It is not here. My question
Well,
is
yeah,
for
that's
you.
why I've got to walk.
Wouldn't you rather fly?
I don't know how to fly.
Sure you do. You were flying just now. Wouldn't you like to have
Well-
that be your livelihood? The thing that you do for the rest of existence, exploring the unknown between worlds?
I mean, is there plunder?
There are always people who do not safeguard their belongings as much as they should.
Well, then sure. I mean, we got to get off the planet sometime. I guess Maybe I'm off the planet now? I don't know how
You-
magic works.
You are still on your tiny little ship.
No, I'm not. I'm on a
could.
beach.
It's a metaphor.
I think I'm allergic to those.
We're going to cut to Utashi.
Okay.
Utashi, you are in a forest. As I said, there are pretty little lights that you can actually see on the map, sort of going around and making things rainbowy and sparkly. Beyond
Pretty.
that, the rainbow and sparkle lights are making everything look prettier, but what they're making look prettier is a very dense forest. You are in a clearing portion of it with a small stream flowing through, but looking just a little ways into the dense trees on any side of you shows that there are large brambles and thorny bushes everywhere. This is a place that is great for smaller beings who wish to not be hunted by larger beings, because the larger beings, unless they can just step over the trees, are going to have a hard time getting to you.
I'm gonna go over and poke one of the shiny.
It's sort of, you don't feel it, but it does sort of bend and shift as if you were pushing into it. Like the glob of light was somewhat material, and then it starts to float off in a direction that you have apparently pushed it in.
I'm gonna poke another one.
This goes on for about 2 minutes of you just poking
Yep.
lights over and over again.
Uh-huh.
And you then hear a voice say, "Little one, are you enjoying yourself?"
Uh-huh. Pretty little lights. I like shinies. I can give you one. It's not from
I have received many offerings. What I ask of you is an action, not a bauble. What is your calling? Why do you do what you do?
we're not talking about shinies.
No.
Well, I'm inclined it helps when I'm not distracted.
There is a deep chuckle that seems to come from the ground itself, although it's more likely that it's just hitting a resonant frequency.
Okay.
And the god you serve,
Uh-huh.
what is the main tenet of their faith?
They're a god of suffering, and the clerics, from my understanding, is if you're a cleric of this god, that you help you.
Do you have to wait
It's
for
Ilma.
them to be suffering? Or can you prevent it?
No. The second one.
That is
think.
good.
I don't know. I just do stuff.
Little one, I believe you are in a place to help a great many people.
I hope so.
The same people who you have endangered. Longcap. You are on a small, dry spot, one of few in the area, in the middle of an old swamp. There is yellowish light leaking in from above the canopy. It is filtered through mists and swamp gas. You have the sense that, in addition to Mari, who is next to you and looking incredibly unnerved,
Longcap knows what's going on. Longcap looks at it and says, "This is a swamp associated with black dragons. You and I are together. This is clearly either Xeno's domain that would see him replaced." Down and waits.
Okay, there's a part of that I didn't catch. You said this is clearly Xeno's domain, and then you said something
No.
about being replaced.
Or domain of power that would see him replaced. Either that's what we're about to be facing here, being faced by, or there is something that is using the trappings that would be associated with him.
A voice bubbles up from below the water. And oddly, doesn't sound very gargly like you would expect to be coming from Bubbles. Quick, logical, to the point. I like you.
I am relieved. That is better than to be disliked.
Of course. Allies are so much more useful than enemies. Although, with the right incantations, enemies can be useful as well.
That is true. I admit I did not have reason to expect that we might be allies if you are the power that I suspect you are.
I am
What do you
certain
desire from me?
there is not much that I need. I am death. I am the caretaker of all who move on to the next world. My power grows every time someone falls, and even gods fall. However, I find that quite recently our little world has had its boundaries expanded. There are some who fear this. In their complacency, in their self-absorbed maintaining of their tiny realms, they fear that larger creatures will come in to devour them, or worse. I have seen enough to know that the pragmatic have very little to fear. But I would like to see what has changed in these eons past. I would have prophets. Maury looks paler than usual.
Poor Maury.
Little one, do not fear. I do not harbor ill will towards you and your weakened faith. A faith that was stretched thin before you even learned my true nature. Truth be told, I didn't get along well with my father either. He and I had a parting of ways as well. This does not seem to relieve Maury in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah. Unsurprising.
That is a 14 religion skill check. What are you trying to find out?
Mostly, trying to consider whether the father in question is Bahamut. Because that's my out of character assumption.
Certainly. Bahamut is seen as the progenitor of all the metallic dragons, but if we were to draw out the metaphorical family tree, Bahamut would be the uncle of the chromatic dragons, not the father.
All right. So it's not he's the father of dragons in general, patron of metallics, etc. A chromatic dragon would probably not refer to him as like the father of the species.
No. It is more likely
Okay.
that before this black dragon ascended to godhood, they had a normal dragon father. And they got along with their dragon father the same way that black dragons get along with black dragons, which is not well.
Not.
Yeah.
Well, you're just going to go off and live in the
Falling out
swamp?
to the
I learned it from watching you, Dad.
Do they even? Well, never mind. Yes.
All right. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Sori is wiggling her toes on all of this nice, comfy lava and looking, well, her expressions are reptilianish, and it's like, this is nice, this is weird. She'd like to know where her friends are, so she's looking around. and contemplating sending.
You hear a voice come through the cave. It appears to come from every direction as if it's echoing all at once, but it's still not distorted enough to make it be understandable. That's two uns in the same word, but never mind about that. Someday I words will. Today, not that day.
Valid.
Instead, you hear this voice say, "Daughter,
Blink?
you have
Does it
been..."
have a gendered...
If
Does its voice have a gendered?
If you were to assign a gender to this voice, you would assign it differently than humans would. It is a very deep voice, as if it's coming from a very large being. But as a Dragonborn, you pick out certain traits that you would assign to be that of a more feminine personality.
So he blinks and says, "My lady?
How long have you been searching for me?
Is it really you?
You have been searching for your god?
I mean, no one that recognizes the symbol."
The symbol represents a unity. I am one of the 5.
One of the other 5 was trying to kill us.
Yes. And you hear a lot of resentment
That's
in that
not
voice.
And that's not very unified.
No, it is not. The unity was put out of balance when visitors came to our little sealed world. Not everyone appreciates that. Some can be reasoned with. Others give in too frequently to blind rage. I would restore...
I try not to.
And that is wise. I would restore that balance. But I will not sacrifice a daughter to do it.
Thank you. Doesn't that mean you'd need a different, snow god?
Pertinax will stay Pertinax, but Pertinax can be calmed if all the visitors leave. Cutting back to Bapaki.
Oh, I think I'm allergic to those.
I love how we cut back and the last line said, "You are, I believe the term that is common these days is a character. That's okay. We can work
You're
with
not
it."
supposed to know that in universe.
There are no walls. There's no fourth wall to break. There are no walls around you. There's the beach. There is the ocean. Both stretch to the horizon line.
I'm just going to mark that little inspiration box.
Yes, you should. I'm surprised you didn't have it. Because you always have it.
I used it.
That's Bapaki's secret. Bapaki always has inspiration. And doesn't move her feet when the ship goes sideways. My understanding is you were about to have a ship that could take you from this world. You had one. And you let it leave.
Oh, yeah, well, my friends wanted to stay. And there's still more money here.
Oh, certainly. But what's the wealth of one world compared to countless ones?
Well, I guess if they're countless, then it would be really hard to count the wealth on those worlds.
Precisely. In your short time here, you have already been so successful. What if your friends could be convinced to go exploring with you?
Are you trying to get rid of me?
If I wish to word it in a very rude way, then perhaps. But what I and my siblings are trying to do is stop a war. And we've been playing for about an hour. What do you say we take a short break?
All right, but I'm going to keep walking on this beach. Is that all right?
There are 2 pair of footprints in the sand. Yes. We are back. Bapaki was just told that the dragon gods are trying to avert a war, and now we're moving to Utashi, who, when we were last speaking with Utashi, they were told, hey, we're trying to prevent a lot of suffering that you sort of set in motion. Only you different words were used. There
Probably
is
got distracted by the pretty colors.
Oh yeah. I imagine that we're not recording those parts, but I imagine there have been multiple times where the dragon god that is trying to address you is doing the equivalent of snapping some fingers in front of you, like, hey, focus, focus.
Oh, that works, yeah.
What's up?
Yeah, you're
I
given
was
a
just
fidget
looking at
spinner
the
to help
pretty
you out.
Oh.
The fidget spinner releases
What were we
microplastics into the
talking
atmosphere. That's bad.
Oh,
Moving
no.
forward. But this is a dream world, so nothing really gets
Hi.
harmed. That's good. Moving forward.
It's a trick.
The
All right.
harm
I'm sorry, there
contains potassium benzoate.
That's bad. Can I go now? I love how we were talking about Tasha getting distracted, and then I distracted myself.
Yes.
That's my superpower, Cap.
Uh-huh. Okay,
It's the
what were we
Dragon's
talking
Dream Realm.
about
It's bad.
again?
You are correct, Beth. There are many who don't want visitors to this world. Some are afraid of the outside influences. Some worry that their power will crumble. One is very angry about it and has just destroyed a mountain.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Now, they will argue, once they calm down, that the mountain was part of their domain and they can see fit to make their domain smaller if they wish. This ignores the forests that were crushed by large boulders flying off the mountain.
So is that it?
It's still
Dragon
going
Mountain
on,
Mountain.
but yes.
Oh.
And the longer it takes for it to ensure that you are no longer here, the more suffering will be caused. 4 of us would rather help you leave than deal with this tantrum.
How you...
Cut to Long Cap. I figure that's a good note.
Prophet.
Or emissaries, ambassadors. I'm flexible. I don't care what you call yourselves.
I admit that I am not an individual who holds great faith.
No, you're pragmatic. You're logical. You find uses in things that others would discard.
These are generally not. Sorry, I did not mean to interrupt. Did not realize you were not finishing the sentence.
Quite all right. Please continue.
These are not generally traits that are credited with spreading religion.
Mine is not like the other faith. Xeno's not like the other dragon gods. They're different. But in all seriousness,
Suspicious.
yes. Serviusa must maintain order. Constant. Gorgolastras must maintain a balance of life. In the end, I am here. All pass through on this world. Beings may pray to Pertinax while they run into battle screaming, but they think of me when the blade strikes home, that I might usher them on to their reward, and make sure that proper rituals are given. Mori shrinks back a little bit more when this is said. I do not need the faith of the living, but knowing that there is an afterlife and that there is someone to escort, that brings comfort to many. Would you prefer to have things simply end when that body of yours ceases to function.
I admit that I had always assumed that that would be the case.
And that is where logic and religion join. The ability to extend beyond this current form. It occurs to me that Longcap was essentially an atheist, and that amuses me greatly. Longcap is speaking to a deity and saying, oh yeah, well, technically I'm an atheist. It's fine.
Longcap believes that gods exist. Longcap is even willing to believe that afterlives exist. But Longcap has no way of being certain that what goes to there is meaningfully extant.
And canonically, when people are brought back from the dead through a wish or other things, they tend to not remember what happened while they were.
This does not reassure Longcap.
No, it doesn't. But it adds into reasoning for why Longcap feels the way Longcap feels. Fun fact, Cogbucket
Yeah.
Sr. was created by an atheist. Cogbucket Sr. was given a made-up religion as a joke. And for some
And
reason
yet.
it actually... And yet JR can summon a war pony. Anyway.
An ambassador. Not to those who already know you.
But to those who
Unless,
Hmm?
unless you mean the Cobot, that would not be something that we would be suited for here.
would... I have other ways of reaching those few cobots who have souls. Most are just machines that have either not the ability to wake up or have not yet done so. But you are not from here. You know people elsewhere. You could go to them, tell them that I exist, and that they need not serve me in life. Only think of me being there to help them at the end. Essentially, Xeno wants to be your Uber driver.
Psychopomp.
Hmm?
Psychopomp. The Uber driver to death. The one who escorts.
And if you're near death, you can have the near Xeno experience, while Xeno has a near you experience.
And that's our Discworld reference for the day.
Both of you think there'll only be one. Moving on to story.
The others are all optional.
That needs to be a bingo
Sorry.
card spot. Not the moving on to
Discord
story
reference.
part,
Bingo.
but Discord reference, yes.
Yes.
Also, me saying I love this game is the free spot, as it always should be.
Let's see. Where were we last? I should have written it down.
You were being told by Severaxtraz. Why did I name these things this way? You're being told by the Red Dragon God that they are not willing to sacrifice a daughter in order to bring balance back.
Thank you. Please don't eat the others.
The intention is for all of you to leave safely. We can help.
I feel like we would have been thinking a lot harder about that if there'd been more ships with helms.
Yes.
They
My understanding is you worked hard to arrange for a ship, and it got away.
There would have been more people on it, except we had to divert the attack so the other one could get away.
Yes. Well,
People just gave us some time and didn't attack us or try to dissect us or keep us prisoner, we wouldn't be doing so much of this.
we can help. The rampaging is a problem. I assure you, that is not what we want. Pertinax wants it. but Pertinax has always been stubborn and quick to see violence as the only tool necessary to solve a problem.
People call me hot-tempered.
There is a chuckle that makes the lava rumble.
I can certainly try to discuss it with the others. I mean, we don't want to be trapped here. Being trapped here is scary.
Even Pertinax does not want you trapped here. Pertinax is
He wants to
afraid,
eat us.
as a means to an end, you don't provide many calories.
I am petite.
You are mortal.
Mhm.
Pertinax fears who will come looking. Those of us who would prefer no more mountains are torn down think it would be easier to help you leave, to arrange for another ship that can take you far. With that done,
Why would anyone worry about who might come after us? I'm not important enough for a god to come after me.
oh, daughter, in that you are so very wrong. Cut to Papaki.
A war with who?
I believe you've already met Pertinax.
Is that the name of the mimic town we just visited?
The what? No. Really big white dragon tore a mountain apart. Almost hit you with his tail.
Oh, yeah, I almost forgot about that.
You almost Well,
Hey, I got a beach to explore. Priorities.
I can stretch seconds of the day to their breaking point, and I still do not have time for this. Okay. Look, here is the deal. We can get you a ship.
You want to avoid a war with this Pertinax guy.
Yes. We would win. There's four of us. There's one of him. We'd be able to do it. That's not the problem. The problem is the planet's fragile. Pertinax just tore down a mountain like it was nothing. Our followers are more fragile than mountain.
Wow.
Well, you're also, no offense, more fragile than a mountain.
That has never been proven.
Because we are having this conversation while you are still alive, you are correct. With that said, Pertinax likes to smash indiscriminately. It's one of his endearing traits. We don't want our stuff
And
smashed.
he's the white one.
He's the white one, yes. We'd like to get you off planet so he stops smashing things.
Okay. So, Thor's really about us.
Yes. Yes, actually. You've got that one right.
Okay. So, to be clear, the 5 dragon gods of this world want to, 4 of the dragon gods of this world want to avoid a war with the 5th dragon god, and the 5th dragon god is angry because kobolds are suddenly on the forge world that the kobolds built. And he is afraid that we're going to take it back from you. And you want to prevent a war, and in the process get us off the planet because you also want to forestall the possibility that we're going to take the planet back from you. And you don't, you like having a planet. I would too. And so you want to put us on a ship and get us off the planet so that Pertinax, the white dragon god, calms down and doesn't start a war that might destroy part of the planet that you enjoy having. Am I along the right lines here?
There's a lot of caveats, footnotes, and corrections that I want to include in that.
Sure.
But
it's a simplification. I just wanted to speed the conversation along. For your benefit.
I love the total about face from wisecracking and deliberately walking around the point to, let me sum up.
Papaki has been screwing with this person so that she can get all the information she needs.
And for the record, even if you had not made me laugh, that 180 right at the end to sink in what you have been doing would have gotten you inspiration anyway. But you already have it, so too bad. In response to this, the voice says, "Look, do you want a ship or not?" Cut to Utashi.
Well, I always want a ship.
and we hear Papaki saying this as the transition fades from beach to forest.
I'm poking the crystals again.
Look, focus.
What? Okay. Hi.
Look, we were having a conversation about spaceships and suffering.
Uh-huh.
And
Blank, blank.
what we're trying to do is have you get off planet so a big angry dragon doesn't smash half the world with their followers helping to smash crucial infrastructure everywhere.
What's the infrastructure?
That stuff that you build other stuff on top of.
Okay.
So
what do I need to...
if we help you get a ship, you leave.
Okay. Are my friends going to be on the ship?
Well, that's kind of the plan. If they don't leave with you, then the smashing still happens. I mean, the smashing is
okay.
already happening. We want to stop it before more smashing happens.
Oh, that sounds...
Okay. Because if we don't get you off the ship, we're going to have to help you get smashed, and that would be a shame.
I don't think any of my...
Yes. Meanwhile, Papaki's looking at some ale, thinking, Actually, no. Papaki's a pirate. It's rum.
Yes.
Well, it would be, but it's gone.
Oh, no. Papaki will be the reason the rum's gone.
Why is the rum always gone? Oh, that's why. Also, my legs don't seem to work. My mom loves that reference, and she has used it on people her own age, and they didn't get it, and she felt taken aback.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Oh, no.
But,
Yeah.
you don't have to think it's a good movie, but you mean you haven't watched it? Okay. That's fine. All right. Moving on to Longcap.
There was a prophecy we were made aware of.
Do tell.
The implication seemed to be that something either having to do with the gods of this world or all of the dragons living underneath this world, or both, would lead to its destruction. It was implied you supposed to be preventing this. I think we were under the impression that the attempt to kill us was at least partly to prevent this from being prevented.
That to me sounds
And
overly complicated.
most things do when I say them, I am told.
I think you explained the prophecy well, but prophecies are either needlessly vague, needlessly complicated, or in most cases, both. It makes it easier to say one thing or another is clearly part of the prophecy, even when it's 100% unrelated. When I was a child, I put great stock in prophecies. The gods of this world back then were horrid things. The prophecies all spoke in their favor. As one of their usurpers, I put little stock in prophecies now. They can be helpful tools to push people in one direction or another. It is not one that I prefer. My followers do not follow prophecy. They usher the dead and keep. It is a useful thing. There is a car with its horn honking outside, and I'm not sure if you can hear it.
Indeed, I do not know the intentions of the god that Sori worships, but The evidence I have so far is that the heads of what were presumably representations of you and the others, being giant dragons, came bursting through the crust, and then the giant... Was it a head? I'm not remembering out of character.
I think
It
they were
was
all.
what ahead.
I think they were all dragon heads.
Okay.
Yeah, but with Pertinax, what was it? Their head that came out,
Head or the entire body?
and then the head and possibly body of Pertinax burst out of the crust of the earth and destroying mountains.
Well, I'll admit that part's kind of on the nose.
So I hope that you will forgive me having doubts as to the intentions of having us leave to spread your faith to another world when there is at least some indication that someone believes that this one might be destroyed in some manner.
This world is older than any being I know. It can survive much and be renewed in the process. Even the Ashlands are healing, if not fast enough for its residents to notice. What we prefer to not be lost, to not be destroyed, are the mortals upon it. All will come to me eventually. I prefer if they don't all come at once. Our cultures are deliberately intermingled. There are isolations, of course, but the culture built up between them has representatives from all five at the highest of level. You've seen some of this already. You have been to the capital. A shame things did not go well there. We were not paying as much attention as we should have been at the time.
It would be foolish to assume that the diplomatic or undiplomatic activities of clerics always reflected the desires of their god.
My desires of my
This is
followers.
Longcap.
Mhm. Oh yeah.
This is Longcap agreeing that the High Temple trying to dissect them does not. They understand that this does not necessarily mean the clerics were ordered to do this.
The views of the clerics may or may not accurately represent the views of the dragon god to whom you're speaking right now. I have a rather hands-off approach in most. Mori can tell you she still gets spells from me every morning. My faith in her has not waned. With that said, Pertinax will not stop unless given reason. The quickest solution would be to simply kill you.
Yes, I am glad that you have reason not to do this. I am very glad that you have reason not to do this, but it does confuse me.
It is not logical to throw something away when it can, and so a bargain is being attempted. With all of you off-world, we can reassure Pertinax that you have been dealt with. The land will heal again. The populations already injured will have more births in time. Or constructed in the case of the Kobots, but you get the idea. I can only stretch a metaphor so far. But if we do not do something soon, the wrath of Pertinax will be mirrored by his followers, and they are too entrenched everywhere to prevent the worst war we've seen since we came to power. Cut to, sorry. I love how you put that in text on the screen. I do appreciate how, for some of you, as we go to you, you're repeating what the last thing that was said, so we move forward. For Utashi, we're definitely not doing that, but for Utashi, it totally makes sense that Utashi would have forgotten already.
Mm-hmm.
It's wonderful. I
She's-
love this.
She forgot to ask the dragon what their name was, too, you know?
Oh, wait, what's this? There's some building materials here. I'm going to start building this fourth wall back up again. There's so many holes you can't even see the wall anymore. Hold on. All right. You are not the only ones who've come here. You were the first in a very long time, longer than I've been alive. But others have followed you already. You were followed, and it is almost certain that more will be on the way, especially since you've called to them. I love how Sori isn't replying to
Sorry,
this
I'm bothering
because...
Suri in text.
Yeah, because there's a conversation about holy symbols in the chat.
Sorry, do you wear your holy symbol visible? Sorry. Beth, you're muted. I mean,
I
not
was
muted, but
That explains things. Where was I? Oh, yes. Sorry, was like... I mean, we called people because we didn't know anyone else would want to help us leave the world. And without Helms necessarily,
Daughter, you do not need to explain that. You claimed you weren't important enough. But when you
If
called...
I were
When you called, did you get an answer?
You don't mean from the sending spell, do you?
Well, that too, I suppose. But that supports my point.
I had a dream.
I had a dream of days gone by.
Don't we wish?
when life was good and there weren't kobolds.
But now they're flying through the sky.
But not on wings of our own.
On a ship that was built by Cobot. Wait, that doesn't track. Never mind. Moving forward. Kobolds the Musical will not be taking place. The production was canceled due to rampant copyright infringement.
Jellicle songs for Jellicle kobolds. Doesn't scan.
Oh, please. It would be a Pack Tactics musical. Why would it not be camp?
But it wouldn't scan.
Well, A doesn't sing songs that scan either, but never mind about that. That's a different campaign.
Anyway.
For this one,
Anyway.
For this one,
Sorry,
Sori was saying that she had a dream, and then I cut her off to say a pun. But never mind.
She will just stop with she had a dream. It was kind of scary.
Many dreams can be. You are important for someone to decide. You needed that.
If I were important, then I'd probably know more than I do.
That is not your fault. You have grown and thrived in spite of it. From what I can, there is magic that caused. Not that of a god, not divine, but a power greater than most mortals on this world have wielded in a long time.
I thought it was because I was in the magic shieldy place where Longkept found me. It's why I'm still, kobold-sized.
The place you refer to may have something to do with your petite nature.
Mm-hmm.
But the same magic I see around you is around your friends as well. It affected all of you around the same time.
Maybe that's why I was in the shielded place.
I wasn't there, so I cannot say.
I know. It's fine. I'm sorry, we do want to go home. I'm worried. I wouldn't want to make people angry with me, especially if they sent a dream. I don't know if I'm supposed to stay or go.
Should you stay or should you go now?
Indeed. She doesn't know.
If
She's
you
just pointing
go,
this out.
there will be trouble. If you stay, it will be double.
Hey, no kidding.
And then Team Rocket will blast off again.
Mm-hmm.
That is how this campaign started.
Blasting off.
No,
Pretty
Team
much.
Rocket was going in the other direction.
We're not Team Rocket anymore. We're Team Shrike.
I can help you if you let me. You and your friends can leave and live. If you do not, Pertinax will not stop until you are dead or he is. The four of us.
How much do you like him, my lady?
There is a noticeable pause.
She's just
Sometimes balance is not maintained because every support likes.
True. I can
But-
talk to the others.
Please do. There will be many deaths that cannot be stopped now. The hope is that it can at least be mitigated. Sorry, you begin to shiver. The lava is
It's cold.
solidifying, and the light from the lava is dimming. Utashi, you are also starting to shiver. There is a light snow starting to fall down. The small stream that is running through the clearing you're in is starting to ice over. Longkep and Mori, the mists in your swamp that you're in are starting to form ice crystals and fall to the ground very quickly. Bapaki, the crashing waves are coming in as chunks of ice.
He's found you, hasn't he?
I accept your bargain. I have more questions, but it seems this is not the time.
You are
been-
out of time. I have found you.
You've never met a pirate before, have you?
There is the sensation of a wave smacking into all of you with full force.
This poor ship.
And you are back on the deck.
Ray, who talked to you?
That was a
I-
fascinating attempt at intimidation, but I do not believe that he can claim to be as powerful as the others put together.
Yeah, but I think they like him. Although we're probably... Sorry's up on top of the thing, so you probably can't hear Longkep muttering.
By the way, the ship is rising out of another lake.
Oh.
Processing, are you in control of your mental faculties again?
As much as
I assume so.
Processing.
Evidence would suggest not entirely, but I believe I am competent.
Processing. You were all in some kind of trance for approximately 2 hours. Attempts to revive you were unsuccessful. By the way, Smallest Kep is still patting on Longkep's cheek.
Smallest Kep is best familiar.
It
That or
seems
Smallest
fairly
Kep is-
clear that attempting It seems fairly clear that attempting to continue our mission is succumbing to a sunk cost fallacy. We cannot complete it if a dragon god is trying to kill us and everything near us. Therefore, I think the wisest course of action is to listen.
Well, sorry, I'm watching Sori move along the map.
Sorry came rattling down the stairs. Longkep, someone said I was important.
That probably does follow.
And she wants me to try to convince everybody to leave. And I don't know if that's what the dream means I should do or shouldn't do. Maybe the dream just means that we woke everybody up. So who was talking to you?
Can we all be in the same place?
I can't do anything with Foundry. It just is giving me a great
No,
screen.
I'm not talking about the Foundry map. I'm asking Crash. Can we all be in the same place?
Well,
Crowded
my
into
assumption
the bridge.
my assumption is plot-wise you are all in the same place. I'm not worried about placement on the map.
Okay.
If I was, there wouldn't
Okay.
be 3 dragons, a dragon god, and a Tarask on the map.
Mm.
That's fair enough.
I love the shadows they do.
I hate to say it, but I'm pretty sure those are built into the.
Yeah,
Oh no, maybe not.
yeah, they are built into it.
Oh, are they?
When I rotate them, the shadows
Okay.
rotate too.
That's too bad.
Yeah, I can.
It would be cool if they were real time.
I can do versions of these that have the shadows and versions of these that don't have the shadows, but it's literally just 2 different pieces of art.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Oh, nice.
So all the dragon gods except Pertinax don't care about us, except that Pertinax cares about us. Pertinax wants to kill us
Uh-huh.
because he thinks we're a threat.
We disrupt the balance.
Oh, it's more than that. If it were just us disrupting the balance, then Pertinax would just want us gone too. Pertinax
He takes it personally.
is smart enough to think that we have a chance of getting rid of them.
Because people follow us. People are following us. Here.
And we have the manufacturing.
You did not just say you seized
So-
the means of production.
We did.
I hadn't intended to say that, but sure, I'm saying it now.
That's not anything like what the lady said, but I'm sure she wouldn't have mentioned it if we hadn't thought of it already, because that would just be tactically unwise.
Of course it isn't. From what I'm hearing from you, and from what I heard from the one who spoke to me, I don't know which one it was. They think they can distract us by putting us on a spaceship and sending us to other worlds.
That's pretty distracting.
It is very distracting.
I
And
think it
that's
was-
why I'm not falling for it.
I think it's a bribe.
Mari,
It is.
Mari is sitting hunched up against a wall, and she's just had her head in her face. Yeah, that's a thing. She had her face in her hands. Those are the words that I'm trying to say. She's had her face in her hands, and then she pulls her head up and says, "So, what you're saying is, we were all contacted by gods, literal gods, and told, we need you to leave or you're going to die. And your response is,
Not
all
quite.
right, I'm staying."
Oh no, that actually what they said was you need to leave or a whole bunch of people are going to die.
Us, that was suggested. No, that
No, that was
she
suggested.
said that if we didn't, right?
That's what Zeno
well, what she
suggested.
said
Also-
is
Maury, I'm
Yes.
very sorry, but yes, you did just meet God. This is like there's no way around it.
there's 5 of them, Bapaki. It's got to be only 1/5 as intimidating.
Okay, fine.
No,
you just
no,
met
it was
a
very, very
parenthesis
intimidating.
1 God.
Yes, but it would have been more intimidating if there weren't 4 others.
So listen, here's the problem. They were very nice. Once we got past the fact that I was screwing with them intentionally.
Bapaki.
It's what I do.
Okay.
Mari
What do you
is-
expect?
Maury is staring at you as if you are wearing cookware as a hat.
I'm sure Bapaki
There
has
are
done that in
2
the past.
things, 3 things that give me pause.
One is polymorph.
Yes. 2 is wild shape. 3 is that bag of tricks, I think.
Felix the cat.
Anyway, the first and most obvious is that you had a companion who's not dead yet, and that companion didn't show up in any of these dreamscapes.
2 companions. Remember the stowaway?
Oh, right. 2 companions. Second, well, I don't know if the stowaway is dead yet.
No, he's probably just murdering people.
I mean,
Maybe that's
I
why
can't
Pertinax
imagine
is
that the
mad.
stowaway is dead because the way you've described him, he will have taken over several small towns by this point.
I mean, it's
No,
entirely
they'd be burned to the
possible that
ground.
Pertinax
And-
is mad because
And converted
left
them
him there.
into New Forest Land.
yeah, I'm kind of worried now that maybe Pertinax is most mad at us because he's the one who is supposed to be the patron of the barbarians, and the barbarians are the ones that were the closest
Oh.
humanoids, and also they're the ones who tried to eat us because they thought we were weird talking dogs.
Yeah, that's a fair cop.
For the
Second
record,
is-
Pertinaxians value strength, and they don't really take kindly to members who are weak. So, if you had taken out a whole Pertinaxian settlement, the rest of them would have just said, "Well, serves them right."
All right,
I'm not
good to
sure
know.
he would. I'm not sure he'd stop at one, but okay.
No, I don't
Second.
think he would have stopped at one.
Second,
From what you've told me, there are other kobolds coming to this world.
maybe. I mean, we told them where we were, and PT is on their way there.
Yeah, at
Yeah,
this
but
point,
Didn't you? Okay, maybe not literally on their way right now, but I feel like you told me that your Desi person sent a
Yes.
request to have someone come back and give her a hat. It's
Stuff like that, yeah.
I'm not
Also,
entirely sure, but
Also, we weren't sure if we were going to be able to get helms, and we might have needed a pickup. A
oh,
ride.
that might be where I got the hat thing.
Yeah. That
But-
for someone to
no,
say
no,
to the
you had the
cobots that
hat.
she's important.
You had the hat. You gave it to your first mate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. The captain has the hat. Desi needs a hat to prove to the cobots that she's the captain.
I'm following this.
But-
why am I following this?
There's a third and most important aspect to my conversation that I had with whichever dragon god I had a conversation with, which is that I was screwing with the dragon god for like 15 minutes, and the dragon god didn't pick up on it, which means they don't have perfect knowledge of what's going on, even when they're specifically focused on a target.
Well, they haven't seen kobolds in a long time.
From what I'm hearing,
That's not what I mean.
they've never seen Cobalt.
They've never actually. Have we described each other's?
No. I don't think we've gotten to that part yet.
Okay, so I don't know that they told one of you, I don't remember which one now, that they haven't always been the gods of this planet.
Oh,
Maury's told us.
there are already stories
I don't know
about
if
that.
Pocky's been told.
Maury knows
Oh,
they
okay.
have not always been the
You've
gods
probably
of this
heard
planet.
that.
It's the reason why they don't let anything get very powerful on this world. Like there's no level 10 spellcasters, for example.
Okay, got it.
Is because there have been too many wars between the gods. So we've got 5, they're balanced. No more, because there's been wars and gods rising up. But never mind about that. Moving forward.
Anyway, the point is, they have like vague understandings of us. They thought I could be tempted by a ship. I have a
Yeah.
ship.
Yeah, but wouldn't you be tempted by more ship?
No? I mean, I have a ship.
You've already
The
had
only reason I
ship.
left my
yes, but what
last
about
ship-
second ship?
The only reason I had my last ship, left my last ship, was to join up with you guys. Because I wanted to hang out with kobolds. More than I wanted ship. And now I have kobolds and ship. And more ship just means I have to... Like, best case scenario, I would spend 50% of my time on each ship. What's the
Really
point of having
big
more
ship.
than one ship?
You could nest them. You have one ship on top of the other ship, or in the middle of the other ship.
Processing. This
Okay,
would
but
not
that's
be
not
a
what
structurally
we were
sound
talking about.
recommendation.
No, I meant a bigger
Also
ship
that.
I meant a bigger ship that was built for it, but never mind.
Also, they were quite plainly trying to play to me and to Mori at the same time. Nevertheless,
Yeah,
the
they
mission
were.
we are here for is untenable. Others are coming anyway. It seems better that we meet up with them than stay while a dragon god is trashing everything trying to kill us.
She did say that he wouldn't stop until we were dead or he was. And then I asked how much she liked him, and she said that liking him wasn't important about it. It was a balance thing, not a liking thing, which is kind of weird.
No, that's the part that makes the most sense. The 5 different cultures, religions, whatever you want, however you want to describe them, we get along because we mostly have to. There's intermingling that takes place. Some people move from one to the other, like I did. But for the most part, if you're raised in one culture, you kind of look down on the others. For some of us, we get along better. We might have disagreements with the Servients, but City is where commerce happens. It's where most manufactured goods come from. People think the Xenolites are all really creepy. And having lived with the Servients, I start to understand why they think that. But we've always been the ones who were there at the end when someone needs to take care of the grieving. The Pertinaxians get on everyone's nerves, but they're the ones who mine the metals.
I just think that they could possibly find someone who was more reasonable and support them.
Well, we'll just find another white dragon god.
Yeah.
Why not?
There's more than one?
No,
there's
that
gotta
was
be
the
a
point. That was
soldier.
sarcasm. There's just 5. There's just
Okay.
5.
Yeah, but they haven't always been the gods of this planet.
They haven't.
I
But
suppose
the last
they
time
don't
there
have
was a
And that
any-
shift,
means-
a large portion of this world burned.
Yeah, that would be awkward.
And you can argue that they don't
It's
always
true.
have the best of intentions. I would be hard-pressed to correct that thought, but
I mean, they're dragons.
they don't
They're very
want-
self-interested.
They are. But so are most gods, historically. And they don't want the world to burn. Arguably,
It's where
one
they
of them
keep
probably
their
wants the world to
worshippers.
freeze, but that's besides the point.
I would think a little bit of burning might be, but not so it gets rid
Mari
of all the
is
worshippers.
glaring and boring a hole through your skull with her eyes.
But not so that it would get rid of the worshippers. I'm just pointing out. Red Dragon.
Is that what made that big place where nothing grows?
I think that was an Elf Armada bombardment.
So far as the stories go, those were caused by 2 separate incidents. The first when the old gods rose up against their fellows and killed all of the good gods of the era, and when the current gods rose up and killed the old gods, there was more burning.
We don't want that much burning. That much burning is bad. Volcanoes are pretty. From distance. Don't live near one.
You can still kind of feel the lava below your toes.
Sori wiggles her toes.
All right. I'm the new member of the group. I know how I want to play this. But I don't have a whole lot of say because I don't have a whole lot of history. How do you want to play this?
She was very nice, and I would feel kind of bad not paying some attention, but it's a little bit messier than just we go away because if the others escaped when the mountain was being torn down, I mean, that's one situation. And then there's our stowaway who is off somewhere, probably eating people who don't pay attention to nature. And then there's the other dragons, the young dragons. They were nice too, and leaving them behind seems wrong, but I don't know how to make them old enough to be able to shapeshift so that they could come onto one of the ships and come with us.
They just need to become adventurers.
And gain levels.
And then we
Well,
can polymorph them into bigger dragons
If
that can become smaller.
And then they can shapeshift. Yes.
if we leave, then everything's fixed, right?
No! There's a young red dragon who thinks that I'm part of some kind of dream that he had.
Us leaving is a temporary solution to anything, as the barrier was destroyed. It was destroyed deliberately and on the advice of a warlock patron. I believe that we should speak to the warlock in question. I'm sorry, Ellie, it's the only thing that...
It's okay.
It's logical.
So,
Also,
to be clear, if we leave, it doesn't fix it. And if we stay, it doesn't fix it.
it really doesn't fix it.
If we leave, it fixes things temporarily, I think. That may be what they desire in the moment. That is what most people desire in the moment when everything is getting destroyed. First step, stop that. Second step, figure out what happens after.
They
Yeah,
want
but
to
if you
make
patch a
Kurt
leak in
next.
a ship, then it's going to start leaking eventually. You have to reboard the hull.
And what you're being
Well, I guess
asked
they just
to
want
do,
Pertinax to chill at.
what you're being asked to do is be the leak that gets patched long enough for the ship to get into dry dock.
Which sounds kind
Yeah,
of
that's
sense.
fair.
I'm
If they
saying
really
either
can't
way.
make Pertinax chill out, well, it's your home, of
Well,
course.
yeah, of course. It's your home.
No. Well, it's weird. I don't have a home here anymore. I'm not going back to my father, and that shop is long gone by now, I'm sure.
Sorry.
But this world is my home. You're kind of right about that. And
Do you,
I don't know if Xeno was 100% pandering. I've seen other clerics lose their ability to cast spells. It doesn't happen frequently, but it has happened. Always when they lost faith. I get my spells every morning. I don't like casting the ones I get from Xeno. Not since I found out, but I still get them back every morning. I don't pray anymore. I still get them back every morning.
Why don't you like casting them?
Because they come from a being who's lied to us for eons.
Well, I mean, I can't remember if Papaki knows this stuff.
you've been hanging around with with your shipmates. You might
You
might know.
You spent days in an underground tram car with nothing else to do. There were conversations.
That makes sense.
I don't think Papaki did. Did I? Did she?
Yeah.
From the
Only
waste
some amount of time.
to the mountain
Oh,
base.
from
that period.
Oh,
For
okay.
that you were. And since then, you did spend
All right,
2 days
well-
in the Mimic world. Well, town. What were
Maybe
you
we
going to
should
say?
go back under the world. Sorry.
Either way, they're waiting for you there. And if whether or not you're going to leave, it would be a good idea to have the ability to.
That's true.
You're going to need another one of
But-
those. What? Why do you call it a helm? You sit in
Helms.
it. It's a chair.
I have no idea. It's some historical thing. Maybe the first helms were made out of, like, giant helmets that were turned upside down to be a chair.
That feels incredibly awkward.
Not sure.
Yeah. Right. If you're a kobold, you just curl up and you take a nap. You would not believe where the hatchlings take naps. One
Oh,
tried to
no.
crawl into my tail once.
I've seen small human children. They'll take naps anywhere.
Uh-huh. But not in my tail.
I confess that's never happened.
Right. If we go back under the world, do you think that Lord Ice and Snow can follow us?
I think God's no teleport.
Yeah, but do you think he'd want to teleport if we went, like, all the way under? There's a whole bunch of dragons there, and they might not respect him.
Who knows?
There might be some big enough.
Maury,
to cause
did
him
you get
problems.
spells when you were on the inside of the world?
I did. And your red dragon friend did mention that the whole not respecting them thing sort of ends up with lots of dead dragons. So
I'm not saying it would work. I'm just saying that it might be more trouble than it's worth, since we'd have to, quote, come out sometime, unquote.
Pertinax
Unless,
tore apart a mountain.
I suppose we could go the middle part. He'd be digging for a while. And the point is, we don't have a helm, so we can't get anywhere anyway.
You know, I was thinking of an alternate plan, but it made me wonder, where did the people on this world come from?
Not the first to come here.
Right, but
Don't look at me. There were people
this
here
was
when
a
I
forge
got here.
world, right? The Kobold Empire built this as a forge world to make cobots and to make ships and possibly for something else that we don't know yet. But there's not a whole lot of reason to put people here, like humans and all the other people that we've met, and mimics, and so where did they come from?
Probably with the other gods. Or they brought the other gods, kind of.
Right, but
Explorers?
I
Refugees?
can think of a theory, but while it seems logically plausible to me, there are very many things that could be logically plausible.
I suppose
It's
we're not
not
going to get an
straight-
answer,
Yes.
at least not right now.
It does not strike me as unlikely that after the Kobold Empire fell, someone thought it would be a good idea if the world was not left alone where kobolds might come pick it back up.
Yeah, but then why let the cobots keep going?
Probably
Maybe they
couldn't
didn't know
root
the
them out.
cobots
They'd
existed.
stay underground. Or that.
That's possible.
I mean, who
Although-
would think that the planet was hollow unless they'd seen it?
The Elf Armada left defenses in orbit. No,
Mhm.
wait,
No,
Or-
they didn't.
didn't they?
No.
You were shot out of the sky
We
from
just
I
got
thought
that
shot
they
out.
were
beam in High
involved in
Temple.
the.
Right.
For some reason, I thought that the beam was relying on. Okay,
The beam was powered by Faith.
Yeah, I
was
had
not
weird
Elf
ideas about
Armada.
that too.
yeah.
Targeting.
I thought that there were like targeting sats it was hooked up to.
There was some targeting that took place, but it was a faith-powered beam that actually burned clerics out because they don't have high-level clerics on this planet.
Whoops. This is kind of appalling because Sori's level 7. It's only 3 more to go to the level cap. We let you eat
This is probably part of why they want us to leave.
that, and they don't want Aunt Maddie to show up. Sorry.
Yeah.
Someone, regardless of whether or not the player just had a realization that the character could not possibly have had.
Drat.
Somewhere on the inside of the planet, Deza goes, I just had a realization. I have been studying many things for years and put these factors together, and they equal.
Oh, no. If Deza had had a realization, it would have been, I need to go talk to someone.
And that's all you have to talk to are a plant-based kobold, a metal kobold, a cobot that's 2 processors short of GPU, and a red dragon. Anyway, you know what? I think that's where we're going to end it for tonight. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you, everyone, for playing. Tonight I was joined by a bunch of awesome people, including Beth, Ellie, Io, and Jen. Who wants to plug a thing besides food because we're hungry?
Well, Io's mom writes books.
At elizabeth-mccoy.com, or ask your local library to get one of the ebooks because they're really cheap for ebooks.
And they are available on the Libby app. So many books in the Libby app.
The Libby app is a wonderful app. Please check out the Libby app if you're in the United States, because all you need is a library card and wow, free books, legitimately. And speaking of books,
my website is bookofjen.net, and it does have book reviews on there. I've been slowly adding them as time goes by. I've got a ton of Diablo-related stuff, including Diablo 4. You can also find those on my YouTube channel, Book of Jen Original. Other than that, I'm the host of the Shattered Soulstone podcast. Episodes come out every week at shatteredsoulstone.com, and probably a bunch of podcasting apps. I don't normally check on that, but it's still there. Yeah, you can find it at shatteredsoulstone.com, and I think the most recent one I've been putting up today has a lot of Diablo 4.
And speaking
of Patreons.
Well, we do have one, patreon.com/cogwheelgaming. You can help us keep the lights on, along with other illustrious patrons, including Chris, Ellie, Shanshin, Walter, and patron emeritus Cindy. But you can also get all this content for free at aaronbsmith.com/cogwheel. And you know what? I just think it's cool when people listen to these. So if you like them, please share them with others. And until next time, this is Crash, saying there is a cave somewhere in a dark forest that has
with
residents that weren't there last month. They've come in recently from various places to hear a prophet. The prophet is unusual. They wear a thick hooded cloak. Their face is never seen, but they make wonderful, amazing promise of power and glory. And these have already started being delivered. All the followers have to do is pledge their loyalty to the one-eyed God. Good night, everybody.
Good night.